What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ back in for another great episode. And today's episode is Waiver Wire Week 7. Who are we picking up this week to help us bring home the gold? Who are we picking up that we might possibly have to stash for later in the season? So therefore, we need guys that are going to come in, not be bench warmers. We're going to come in and produce points immediately, people, because injuries, COVID, a lot of shit is going on. A lot of shit's going down to where we need guys who are going to be available to us. So I don't want to waste any more time. So let's get right into the episode. So waiver wire week 7. First up, we got Boston Scott. Obviously, we need to go pick up Boston Scott. He's only owned in 17% of leagues. And if you're a Miles Sanders owner, this should be the obvious that you need to go get his backup. Now, Sanders could be missing some time. He's obviously not going to be playing this Thursday against the Giants. So therefore, it would be Boston Scott time. Now, you're probably thinking, is he going to see in the same workload as Miles Sanders? If he's going to be fantasy relevant? I think so. I think that with this division game against the Giants this week, Giants have been looking wishy-washy on defense. They've been looking good against the run, or they're terrible against the pass, or they're good against the pass and they're terrible against the run. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they could just find a medium just to be a good defense, but I do like division games. They're a little, wishy-washy, lopsided, and kind of blowout or not, or if it's a tough game, if it's a defensive game. There's a lot of variables that go into that. If you look at what my Rams did against San Fran had a game plan to beat us. They wanted to get the ball out quick, get Aaron Donald out of the game, and that's how they won the game. So therefore, I look to see that Boston Scott gets the workload that Miles Sanders has. He has the ability to catch the ball at the backfield as well. So I definitely think he'll get a nice little push to be fantasy relevant this week. So he's definitely a good pickup this week to help you, deal with Miles Sanders being out. Or if you just want to be that asshole in your league and you want to get Boston Scott away from, the Miles Sanders owner, then go ahead, do so. You know what I mean? But most people have Boston Scott in my leagues stashed away. So it's not much of, a waiver wire rush because a lot of people are either trying to trade for him right now or, they're just going to put him in their starting lineup for all these injuries. So Boston Scott, probably my number one, waiver wire this week. Next up, J.D. McKissic. It's annoying to be an Antonio Gibson owner with J.D., just creeping up and just taking those points away. Antonio Gibson getting 9 points last week, and then you got JD putting up 14.4 points in some PPR formats or whoever, your format is, standard or whatever the case may be. But it's just annoying to have that going on in that backfield when we want Antonio Gibson just to get the full send. So right now, the snap opportunity obviously goes to JD. It looks like he's the 1A in this situation when it comes to fantasy relevant points week to week. I still got to give it to Gibson. I don't know how that's going to work to where, they both end up being fantasy relevant because it's either one gets 9 points, one gets 14 points, one gets 20 points, one gets no points. You know what I mean? It's so annoying. And you still have Peyton Barber getting like his 4 touches, which isn't, too crazy to hurt Gibson or even JD, but it's just annoying that they can't figure out who's the running back one. You know what I mean? So right now it's a 1A, 1B situation. Now, 4 games in a row, JD has been seeing more than 50% of snap opportunity. Now, it's been wishy-washy with Gibson. He had a very low 34% last game, and the week before that, it was in like the 35, 36 range. So therefore, he's not seeing a good, snap opportunity. But he's out there producing when he can. So when he's on the field, he's making the best of his abilities to get the ball, get an open space, or, make some great, runs, get an ugly 4 yards that my boy Tatum Bell would like to say. So overall, JD definitely has to be a guy that you have to pick up. If you're hurting at running back right now with Eckler out, CMC still not on his way back. A lot of people are hurting at running back right now, honestly. And this was the year to go draft running backs heavy. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys out, a lot of guys that are still not returning from injury. Nick Chubb's still out. And honestly, with Miles Sanders, dealing with his high ankle sprain, I think it is. No, that's actually Mark Ingram. He's another guy that's injured right now. But I think Gus Edwards and JK got that covered, so no worries there. But again, JD is getting the production. He's getting the value. that you can go get him out on the waiver right now to basically close to nothing. He's only owned in less than 20% of league. So therefore, you don't want to go pick up guys on the Washington football team because, again, they look like a terrible football team, but it's kind of like we're hurting that running back right now with COVID and, injuries and et cetera. So it's kind of like the weirdest year of fantasy football. 2020, I hate it. Can't wait until it's over. And then we just start fresh with no COVID, with no restrictions. Guys can practice, fans in the stadiums, and we can get back to normal life. But J.D. McKissic's definitely a guy to pick up off of waiver wire this week. Now, last but not least, this will be a stash. The guy is facing a bye week this week, Trey Burton. Now, Trey Burton looked very good in the last 2 games. He had 11 targets in the last 2 games. He's getting rushing attempts. He's getting, red zone attempts, which is great, where he has a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. Jack Doyle hasn't been the same since his week 1 injury. And then Mo Alley-Cox, he has, I guess, basically he hadn't had that breakout game just yet, but it looked like he was getting more involved, and then it kind of crashed and burned. So I kind of don't know where he went, but Jack Doyle did, seemed to be injured on his touchdown that he got, last game. And I feel like he's going to miss some time as well. So keep a close eye on that. But the Colts are definitely going to stick to, Trey Burton going into the, after the bye week. And I feel like Philip Rivers has that great chemistry to have that good connection with tight ends. He just loves tight ends that are going to produce in that offense. And somebody like Trey Burton, who could be a Swiss Army knife that can rush the ball and he can get open in separations, a mix match on most of the linebackers. So Trey Burton will be a good stash because right now we have a bunch of people that are going crazy in my league right now looking for tight ends. And tight ends seems to be an every week stream because if you don't have Kittle, if you don't have Kelsey, and if you don't have Andrews, actually Mark Andrews has been looking a little sluggish, you know what I mean? 4 points ain't getting it done. He had 0 points going into the third quarter. So that wasn't something that I like to see either. So tight ends right now, are a little hard to find. And also Jonnu Smith could be missing time with that ankle injury. So tight ends, you need to go get them, you know what I mean, when they're hot. So I think Trey Burton should see a little tick and increase of value and then snap opportunity, targets, and et cetera. So I definitely like Trey Burton after the bye week, you know what I mean, to have on my bench just in case Jonnu Smith, being that I'm an owner, is not healthy enough to, play next week. So there's that. So that was a quick one. I only got 3 guys this week that are worth picking up, worth stashing, people who are going to be able to help in producing your starting lineups immediately. So I definitely want to touch on these 3 guys, highlight these 3 guys who are owned in less than 20% of leagues, people. So they're still out there available. They're still floating. A lot of people are forgetting some of these people that aren't probably hurting, who have a very positive record that don't need to be running to waiver wire. But guys like me who are in 3-3 in my home league, I definitely need guys that are going to step up to the plate because we're still out with CMC, no Barkley. Michael Thomas still hasn't played. Coming from a bye, he should play next week, but still, do I trust him? I don't know. So there's problems like that that's going on in a couple of leagues where you're missing your star player out there. So you need guys that can come in and contribute, help you get this dub this week. So I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.